Hello there, everyone and anyone. Hi there, K Station. Chrysanthemum. Thank you, K Station. I appreciate the kind words. Hello there, Rome Evans. Hi, Fantastic Boom. I apologize for not having a stream yesterday. Uh, things took far longer and required a bit more effort than I wanted that I was doing, and it unfortunately overlapped with when I streamed. Uh, but I'm going to stream today. As the title says, we'll be doing a bit more with the Dead Center map. Still got a couple things I want to fix up. Hello there, Soda for Lunch. Okay, let us get to the map. So after some testing, I found out that we did indeed run into some issues with brushes, as I thought we might last week. But we should be able to fix this with a little bit of propering. And hopefully we can take some props actually off the map to help with that. Oh, congratulations, Soda for Lunch. That's awesome. And episode 1 is a lot smaller than the main game, so hopefully that one will be a lot simpler to go through. Hi there, Lammy CS2. And yes, Fantastic Boom. Technically, this would be Living Center. For Hammer for Gmod, um, Elite Benefactor, you'll find it in the bin folder in your common of Steam apps folder. So it's like Windows 86, then Steam apps, then common, and then Gary's mod, and then it should be in the bin under Hammer, and you'll be able to use that. This is Hammer Plus Plus, uh, which requires a separate installation, technically still in the bin folder of Gary's mod, but yes, this is not quite the same as regular um, Hammer. So, let us start. First, let me grab my proper map. I have made just a little file where I can grab and work on certain different types of proper proper to explain what that is. It's a program that can turn these little brushes into these entities. Oh, I'm on group select. These entities, like what you see with the trees and the hedges and the telephone pole or the hydrant, turns it into a prop like those, which carries its own sets of benefits and drawbacks. And we want to take some of this level geometry and do that because we are reaching the limit of this level geometry. I'm always happy to hear ideas or suggestions, Elite Benefactor. What you got? Grab this. Bring it in here. So also let us, for doing proper, it's also a good idea to actually, despite, unlike standard map compiling procedures, um, unseen textures actually still do get compiled. So it's still a good idea to always ensure that everything you don't want seen is no drawed. No draw basically says that the face is invalid and needs to be removed. So we're going to do these stairs. And I'm thinking as well that eventually we'll come back and snag this giant building here, including all the windows and doors, and we'll add in a couple extra details here and there, and then we'll make that full thing a prop, and then we can put it over here and replace all of that there too. Hopefully that should optimize a lot. Hello there, Joanna. Welcome back. Apologies for not showing up yesterday. Had some work run overboard. Yes, I have only done one of the water hazard maps. So I could do more. That is an option. Um, the different water hazard maps, I've been, I haven't touched as quite as much because they are sometimes some of them don't have the greatest gameplay possibilities for Gary's mod. Uh, but I think some of them might. Some of the ones I haven't touched yet might still have some good opportunities. Um, Part of that as well is that you can't really expand a lot of the water hazard maps since a number of them do hit the physical hammer limit. I believe that would work, Elite Benefactor. You could make two maps if they were packed together. I believe that would work. Otherwise, it would error out if you didn't have the map with it. An episode 1 themed map could also be interestingly Benefactor. Canals 10 would be an interesting one to do. Hadn't thought of Canals 10. Soda. That could be one that would be an interesting one to do. I'll have to take a look at that one a bit more. The one that's sort of, the other one that sort of caught my attention to possibly doing would be, 13, the very end, when you're at the top of the dam. Um, Very big space, some interesting interiors, though you wouldn't quite get I think, the dramatic of a difference. I think that's the other reason, is that some of the canal maps don't quite have that dramatic sort of, oh, this looks completely different sort of things. But you know, sometimes the dramatic isn't necessary. So yeah, I'll take a look at 10. Maybe I'll revisit looking at 13 as well. Just continue to smooth out some of these surfaces. Well, I do like a smooth map for clipping. And as we go in through optimize stuff, hopefully this will matter less for brush counts. For those who use hammer, clip brushes like this do count towards brush limits, so do be aware. It's unfortunate, but they do. Same thing with portals and hints and stuff like that. Though usually the culprit for a map on like breaking brush limits is not usually for optimization purposes. You'll find other buildings or brush details that will send it overboard. Okay, and we'll just finish up this wall here. Send this back over here. There. Yeah, soda for lunch. Canals 13 is really big. It's really open. And there's a lot of little brushes and stuff to do. Um, I have had good success with VViz plus plus, VBSP plus plus, and VRAD plus plus, and reducing compile times significantly. So might be good to try that again. Uh, Lord Raygon. Yes, I have done things in CS2 Hammer. I actually have a stream from 2 weeks ago now where I did a um, stream in CS2. And Joanna, I think I said Metropolis in that one because I had Metropolis is a term that's used a lot in the beta and certain like behind the scenes stuff. So I think that's what did it for me. I think that's what got into my head. A style guide elite benefactor. In terms of like a map to show off like the different art stylings and potential um props to use and stuff like that. Is that what you mean? Yeah, soda for lunch. My doing the coast maps as well really affected uh a bunch of older PCs that I had when I was attempting to use those to compile. It really they the wide open spaces really affected them. um there's been indeed a change of plans on this map, Joanna. Three gigs is about I think the minimum you need to run Elite Benefactor. I've had to use that as well, and it just barely run. I've used that way in the past, and that barely ran Hammer, and very barely got compile through for Gmod. And for the style guides, mm, what I would say for that is I think White Forest probably has the most specific texturing and props for it, because Valve curated a very specific set of props and textures for it. They grabbed a bunch of stuff from um, CSS and made more themselves for episode 2. So it's a lot easier to essentially have a specific style for it. The Citadel and Nova Prospect are mostly built off of pre-existing assets in Half-Life 2. That said, you could do it for them because Nova Prospect has specific architectural stylings, big vaulted ceilings, the various bars and stuff like that. So it is doable. Um, the Citadel, I guess it depends. Technically, episode 1 has slightly different like level and map styles for it. The like the core is designed differently, and certain other side like passages and stuff are also designed a little bit differently in comparison to what you see in Half-Life 2. Um, so I guess you could do like a full, if you wanted to do a style guide for both at the same time, you could probably do that. But I don't. I guess you could do for both individually, like an episode 1 at Citadel style guide and then a Half-Life 2 style guide. Okay, we'll just do this here. Actually, we'll make that. And then what we can do is do this. That's very smooth. Any mods that add the? Are you talking about like the the combine ball that's sort of like in Portal as well, the one that comes out of the AR2 uh, Elite Benefactor? Okay. We can also smooth that out a bit. Get the garage and doorway here. And bring that over here. let's normalize this. And we don't need it to be this long. We just need it to be to the top of this roof line. And we can here, you know what? We'll do this and we'll make it come down to the top of this fence line. And ooh, there we go. Should also make dealing with that a bit easier. Then we can do this with the rest of the fence. Okay. We'll have it come down here. And then we'll just do this real quick. And make it go for this whole thing. Perfect. Um, I don't know Elite Benefactor if there are any mods that add in some of the Combine like Dark Energy Ball stuff. Um, I believe there are some built in to Gmod things related to that, but I know some of the stuff related to Portal and the like the ball being captured by stuff. I'm not sure. I imagine someone's done it, certainly at this point, but I haven't seen anything like that. And yeah, as Joanna said, there's Portal. If you mount Portal 1, that works from it, but it's a bit iffy. Some of the Portal 1 compatibility with Gmod is a bit off. Um, and I'm actually glad to hear that this reminds you of GTA 5 a little bit, as GTA was a bit of the inspiration behind getting this map how it was a Fantastic Boom. I did not know that, Joanna, that there was a beta bubblegum. Um, that's very wild. Uh, was that released before the game launched or after? Oh, Marfy made a video. Okay, I'll have to check that out. I didn't know that. Um, oh wow, so right as the game came out. uh, Elite Benefactor, I I do look at the workshop and I do play various community maps. Um, I don't usually do reviews, but I do see content that people make on on the workshop. So there's a very good chance that I have played or will play in the future maps that people in the audience make. Okay. Do is also fix this little bit of the garage here. Make this also very nice and smooth. Let's bring this up so that way that and then we'll do that so that way you can't get up there. Sure that out of bounds spots are not usable. Do that, and then we can do this. And we can also do that. And wrap it honestly just around the whole building and make the windows flush with a clip. Perfect. Now the whole building is smoothed out to a degree. So we'll have to bring this out a bit more for the doors. We can do the same over here for these windows. Right up to the player clip. That works. Much better. We can do it right here to the pillar. Nice. And then we can do this. Around this building too. Keep things smooth. Oh, I'll have to extend this out a bit more. And then bring this all the way over behind this potted plant. I have not played Evalo Street, Rome Evan. I'll take a look at that after this, though. Sounds interesting. I'm always interested in urban maps. Grew up in a city, so I'm very interested in city-based maps. I do agree, Joanna. The Combine Soldiers are probably one of my favorite um, faceless, helmeted infantrymen in fiction. Their outfits are so cool. I love the additions to the infantry ranks of the Combine and Alex as well. I love the helmet designs. I love the choice of weapons, the way that the Kevlar looks. Well, I hope to see you soon, Joanna. Hopefully, the charging goes quick. Um, the suggestion. All right, do some more smoothing out here. I do plan on going back to Half-Life stuff in the future. This is just I wanted to fix this up, as somebody a bit ago had the a mentioned that there was an issue on this map a bit ago, and if I'm coming back, I might as well make some optimization and other gameplay uh, smoothing changes. As well, I know this map had some issues surrounding yeah, optimization. Um, though I am proud of where the optimization was when it first launched, because it was kind of a hassle to even get this to just run because there's so much stuff. But we can make it better. We have the technology to do that. Just do this. This is a, I don't think I've asked this before, but are there any maps for, well, just any maps or anything that you guys would want to see from me? There's a lot that I haven't done yet, in both original and tweaking Valve stuff. Is there any gameplay types, any um, art styles, any specific like games from anything really that you'd like to see? Like I said earlier, I'm always open to suggestions. I don't always reply to suggestions. I do read a lot of what is sent to me. flush here. This is indeed hammer time, Joanna. Nexus pre-war. I'll consider that. Had a couple people suggest that, and other things related. Um, right now, outside of fixing this map up, I am working on a DoD, a Day of Defeat themed map. Um, so after that, there are some things I can do. And Rome Evan, hopefully, yes, these changes will make things better for everyone who played and plays this map still. Uh, Joanna, yeah, I thought it originally was a shotgun Annabelle, but then it was, I found out that it used their 357. Though when I last looked at Annabelle, that was before I had access to beta content as well. So there could be more things I could learn about Annabelle with that. I have thought about Dead Air, uh, Mata Air, Mata Aaron. I think that's how you say your name. I apologize if I missaid that. Um, I think it would be doable to have most, if not the entire campaign on a map like similar to how I've got Dead Center here. Crossfire from interesting. Well, thank you for the kind words, Rome Evan. Yeah, I haven't touched as much of the um, Half-Life 1 and Half-Life 2 deathmatch maps before. Uh, I'll have to take a look at them a bit more. Some interesting design stuff there. A city 70ification of some of the maps, or even like a Ravenholmification of some of the maps, could be very interesting. Okay, all right. Let's bring this down to match the roof line. As best as I can. And there. Perfect. Smooths that out a lot. And we'll do this. And there we go. Very smooth. this side as well. Oh, these garage doors are misaligned with the ground. We can fix that. Quite easy. There we go. It's better. It's a good reference there, Joanna, about Keith. Good day to you too. CA underscore old. Glad you could join us. I've thought about Lost Coast, um, Joanna. But I have to think. There's some specialty props that Valve made for that map that I would have to see how I would touch up or replace with something else to get that to work. I also did at one point want to tie it to a different thing that I had considered making, but I don't know if I will be able to make that, though who knows? We'll see. But I will keep that in mind about Lost Coast. If I did Dead Air, it would certainly have the advertisement in it, Joanna. Oh, I wish you luck with fighting the 1% battery charge there. The I know what that's like, fighting your phone or laptop with a very small charge. So right now, for those who are joining, this is Dead Center from Left 4 Dead 2, but without the zombies and mayhem associated with that. And currently, I'm just doing some optimization and other little touch-ups. To try and make the map that much better. Right now, I am smoothing out some of some areas. Basically putting in clips so that way if you brush up against a wall or something, it feels smooth. Something I've always appreciated Valve for doing in Counter-Strike, and something I've always really wanted to try and apply as much as I could to um, my own maps. As well, I'm always keeping an eye out for opportunities to throw in some optimization, like something called an occluder. Occluders, you can put them in props to sort of act as a way to block out other props behind it. It's good to help optimize the map. And eventually I will be also taking in some stuff and putting it into something called Proper. Proper is a tool. This is Hammer++. It's a tool in Hammer++, and you can't actually get it separately. That basically makes it so that way the it turns a brush into a prop. It turns something like this geometry into an entity like this telephone pole, which has its own benefits for optimization. Let's go back to the hotel area. It has its own benefits for optimization, so it's a good idea to do since the brush limits are the most pressing usually. And come up to the roof, smooth this out as well. Make sure it's not bleeding down into the building below, since that's playable space. Um, because this map is hitting many limits, I'm not entirely sure I'll be able to add in anything else to this map, so it might just be uh, optimization passes and smaller stuff like this. As there is a lot to this map, as you could probably guess from combining 4 Left 4 Dead maps together. Yeah, we can extend this out a little bit more. And do this for this as well. Actually, we might be able to do something like this, where we can, when doing stuff like clip smoothing out like this, sometimes it can be a great idea to have it so that way when you come up upon an object that you sort of like angle your way across it. Like you slither at an angle across an object. And sometimes it's just easier to have it be basically one giant cube around a thing. Uh, Especially when you've got like lots of stuff like a door and lights and stuff like that. As long as it's close enough, it generally works. You know what? Yeah, we'll do this where we can smooth out this side as well. Actually, we'll bring this back a little bit more. Yeah, okay. We'll do it similar on both sides, and there we go. When I'm alone in the middle of a mall, I say that that's a dead center of the dead rooms. Um, Need maybe not, but I know the frustration of having like trying to move around a place and getting stuck on random geometry, like props or brushes and stuff like that in various games. Which is why I appreciate what Valve does for Counter Strike, where they put in so much clipping that you don't really get stuck on much. So that's kind of why I want a lot more brushwork. Or sorry, I kind of want more clip work for this. I am aware that it does cost brushes, um, but with some propping, I might be able to get some of this to work. Like I've said always, this is trial and error. Fantastic Boom. And I do plan on doing this for more maps. Um, but because this map is more or less pretty close to being at limit, it's easier to just kind of optimize backwards to getting some of these clips to work. And worst case scenario, if the clips don't work, I might be able to just prop them, which I can also then use for that technique for other maps. So we'll see. Um, Always trial and error. That's fair. Fantastic Boom. I'll keep that in mind. Um, that can be fixed up in specific spots to be more flush with the wall. Um, there's definitely some balance that can be done. Like actually, for example, this side, which I just realized that that door is not in the wall, which is another reason to always take a second look at your own work. We can do here actually is this. Merge those vertices. Merge these vertices. Here. We can have the best of both worlds, I think. Just requires a bit of negotiation with the system. We can lower this to here. And do this. And do that. Bit cursed, but I think that can work, and we can keep modifying some of the other ones. In worst case scenario, I can. Uh, I haven't actually played around with proper that much. If I can actually get clips to merge with a prop, I might be able to make the props a bit more smoother, while also still retaining the ability to be flush with a wall. So that way, it is a best of both worlds situation. See, I have considered removing some of the collision. The problem is that with some of these props, it would be a bit obvious that the prop has no collision, because some of them come off of a wall a bit much. But I can play around with some of them. I think maybe some of the window props and maybe some of like the rain gutter props I might be able to do that with. There's certain houses, like the ones I have over in the residential area of this map, have like smaller details that I could probably. I think they might actually already have their physics turned off. Yeah. So this one here already has its physics turned off. Um, and the door frame as well has the physics turned off. Yeah, I can play with the turning off of certain physics. That also needs to be fixed. Again, trial and error. Always learning, always finding things and more optimal ways to do things, and always returning back and touching them up. Yeah, I'm just concerned that at least with something like the door here, which sticks out a bit, that like if you were to walk into it, like your face would sort of go through it. But I haven't really experimented with it, so I could do that, see how that turns out, and then yeah, maybe be able to remove some of the clips. Um, like I said, I also want to go back and um, proper some of this. So what I could do is also merge the door with this, and then work with some of that too. So there's options. Um, this map wasn't built in a day, and I don't expect the clipping to be done in a day. So we can there's plenty of time to experiment as well, and that also then helps future maps of different themes. This was done by Valve, I believe, but some of that could be worked on and experimented with. I think most things in here probably good. The geometry more or less follows what you see, except for the physics props. But that's a whole other thing. The railings could actually be worked on a bit. You can make it more flush with the prop. Actually, and that's kind of high. And doesn't quite align with the prop. There. That way it's a bit easier to get on top of, and the hole doesn't quite jut out as much. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, that one's good too. Yeah, this could be actually a very good way to do this. Well, the corners could be nice to have. I'll have to think about some stuff like this. I think there's definitely a happy medium between some of the clipping and stuff like that. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll definitely experiment with the doors. Fantastic Boom. See how that plays out. I actually don't think so. That's a great point. Yeah, they're not. Um, yeah. Okay. For now, until I make a more executive decision on whether or not to keep the clips in these pillar corners, I can merge them here. Save some brush count. It's a very good call there. Um, I do cut that corner off, but we can see how that plays. Um, Experiment a little bit with that. Okay, let's bring this all the way over. Worst case scenario, I could actually make the angle of the corner a bit steeper. So that way you've got more of the wall here that you can use. And actually, I might do that here in a moment, since some of these seem to be quite close together. We'll do a pass on those door props in a moment here. But let's just fix these up. Did I? Okay, no. All right. And then move this all the way over. Should be able to just do this now for this side. Actually, no. Let's first shallow the angles. Just a hair. Actually, maybe more than just a hair. So we'll do it to 10, I think. So that way, yeah, you still get a good chunk of the corner, but you can slide up selection. Oh. Perfect. And then we'll do one move back here. And then we'll do this over here. And then we'll do this. Flip horizontally. That's also a very good trick to do is you can right click and then hit flip. And then you can flip a brush around. Keep its relative position to others. That's better. You get more of that. Yeah, this one definitely with the ladder can also be done that way. Is there no ladder entity here? Why isn't there? Let's fix this. Okay. Okay, that's a bit much. Is this. Bring this back down to 75. 85. Maybe 80. 82. And then we'll touch up this. Yeah. That works well. For the sake of actually getting not stuck behind this dumpster, in weird geometry and clipping, I think we'll have to do something here for that. Just to be sure. Because, well, yeah. We'll make it flush with the road barrier. Because I can already see that causing some issues just from a perspective, like a movement elevation perspective here. Trying to make it so that way it's more with the dumpster. Okay. Feels about right. See, that's what yeah, I personally I think flipping the brushes around is very cool too. Fantastic Boom. Yeah, I was thinking about that scaffolding clip. It's a bit much. I believe this does, because I think this is the same one that I ended up using over by the mall. So what I could do is instead move this clip back here. I think this was part of Valve's attempt to make this area more of a level ender. I think that works. This prevents a player from being like, if they come up to the road barrier here and try and jump over, they're not gonna get like trapped behind the geometry. Well, yeah. Actually, I might do it like this. What we can do is do that. We'll see. This might not actually be big enough back here for them to get through in the first place, and it might just cause people to get stuck. This, however, jumping on this and then getting in here is definitely doable. We'll see. Actually, yeah, you might be able to maneuver around. I'll do just around this to make this a little. Actually, no. No. We'll get rid of that, and then through testing we can decide if or what needs to be clipped or not clipped around this specific scaffolding. Um, and then we can also test what's going on here, and then we can apply it to these other wall-based pillars. But as you suggested, let's consider going through and actually this doesn't have collisions in the first place. Does this one have it? No. But these boxes should, yeah. Did I? You know, sometimes you forget what you do. And actually, this might be from Valve had a couple doors like that up here. So that might be from them, and they might have actually had the better idea there. Which happens. But these power boxes definitely should be a bit more clipped up. And we can make it more flush with the box itself. So that way you can get much closer and still not be totally caught on the geometry. Yeah, it's better. Yeah, it's a little too high. We can have both, I think. Hmm. You know what? Actually, yeah. We can make it a bit more tight with the prop, and we'll do it to the other one too. way. Yeah. Okay. That way you can move around this a little easier. Not get your crouch tripped up by that. Um, Actually, then that reminds me that some of these back alley areas over here might be able to do away with. The movie posters here we'll have to see. They are a bit thicker than the doors, but we might be able to fix that. Okay, that's not solid, so you'll walk right through that. I do still want something for this here. So we'll work with the height that it's got. Um, Here, actually, what we can do is this. Actually, this might be the perfect one to do of that. Bring this. Hmm. This one's a bit complicated geometry-wise. Actually, you know what? What I could do to bring in a bit more visual variety is I can raise this up to here. So that way it's more out of the way. And that wall actually has a bit of something. What's going on with this? I'll have to experiment with these windows and that doorway. They're also a bit thicker than that other door prop. What I could do is I can, well, yeah, I'll have to experiment. Which means I shouldn't quite move this one yet. What about these? Okay, those aren't solid either. So, they're about the same thickness as the ones over here. I will have to experiment more with this clipping, I think. You There's always something to learn with these kinds of things. That is true. Um, some of these won't give you, yeah. What I could do is actually switch some of this to, yeah. That's something that I'll have to experiment with. And hello there, iTop4. Thank you for the kind words. I hope as I do updates for various maps that you continue to enjoy them. And that there's still uh, maps that you find fun. As for the steps and the stepping and the shooting and stuff like that, I'll have to consider um, some of that for how I want to deal with some of this clipping. We can I think a player clip might might help some of this. I do know that there are for Gmod they've sort of taken Counter-Strike's route and they've created what's it called? Um, Specific types of clips and no draw textures that do include some of the sound effects. So I might actually try and make use of that, see if they work um, with this. One thing I do need to get to eventually is their stairs. Stairs are a big one that need to be clipped eventually because that also affects view bob. Um, so I will have to go back and make sure that all of that is done carefully. This. And then what we can do is this. And okay. And better, better, better. Bring that down. And then we can reuse that for other places. Just grab this for the moment. Do this. Time being. Bring this all the way to the end of this. The heck is what's happening here. We can try that. I'll bring this down. I might actually do. So I'll experiment with certain clipping like this with proper using these brushes and these props. See if I can't merge them together because I want to merge some of these props together to um, reduce the prop count a little bit as well. And then what I can do is, if it works, I can just copy and paste all of this to the different sites that I want to use it, like the different areas of the map I want to use it on, and see if that helps, because there is also a prop limit here that I'm reaching. Um, and yeah, can see if that works. Worst case scenario, I can also use no clip and stuff. Yeah, I think they attempted to use some of the no draws with the different sounds, Fantastic Boom in CS:GO. Yeah, I don't think they used it as much. Um, so hopefully, maybe I can make a bit of use of that with this. Triangle. Oh yeah, so like pyramid Fantastic Boom is what you mean, with some of these shapes, so that way, like an inverted pyramid, so that way the feet are close and stuff. And hello there, Glurkin. Uh, I am saying hello to you from Canada, and thank you for the kind words. Hopefully, hopefully when it's done, it works well and plays well, and you enjoy it. Hopefully, it's up to what everyone would like to see in the map. And gotcha. Fantastic Boom. I can play with pyramid shape as well to see if the see how that does with some of these props. It would also allow for a bit of crouching without being too restrictive on that. Um, did find some good errors that we fixed, some errors that needed to be touched up. I think we've got a good plan on some of these clips. And proper does require a bunch of opening and closing of hammer to just make sure that uh, the props are actually properly loaded into um, the selector. So I think with that, I might call the stream. I might call at least the work on this map uh, done for now, as I have to do quite a bit of experimentation, and then I can apply hopefully what I learned here to the stuff that I work on in the future, and maybe when I go back to other things. Um, yeah, I do. Hopefully, by the time I come back to this, hopefully properly, actually next Friday. That is my goal. Um, then I should be everything should be experimented with, and then I can apply my findings to this map and then other things. But yeah, it was a pleasure to see you all this fine Saturday. I apologize for yesterday. Um, but it was good to see everyone. I hope everyone stays safe, stays cool in this hot summer. I hope everyone takes care, and I shall catch everyone tomorrow. Well, another time. I'm not doing a stream tomorrow, but next week. Uh, take care, everyone.